The neon lights of Japan's nightlife glittered like scattered jewels across the skyline, but Jaemin Han. Feared Mafia boss, heir of the Han syndicate, felt nothing but emptiness under their glow. For years he had been a man driven by lust instead of love. Women came and went like passing shadows. His nights were filled with bodies, whispers, moans, and fleeting warmth that disappeared by morning. Everyone in the underworld knew him as the man who could never be satisfied. He had everything: wealth, power, an empire built on loyalty and fear, but nothing ever reached his heart. Not the women, not the luxury, not even the thrill of being the most desired man in every club he walked into. Yet, behind his confident smile and dark, dangerous charm, Jaemin felt an unexplainable loneliness. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw a man who could command the world but couldn't control his own urges. He hated that part of himself, but he didn't know how to change. One evening, after a long meeting with his men, Jaemin decided to visit Han River Lounge, a private rooftop club he owned. The night wind was warm against his skin as he stepped inside, expecting the usual atmosphere: soft music, dim lights, and women eyeing him hungrily. But tonight was different. A woman stood by the glass balcony, her back turned to him. She had rich, dark skin that glowed beneath the soft golden lights, and thick curls that framed her face like a halo. Her dress was simple, a soft brown satin piece that hugged her body gently without shouting for attention. She wasn't trying to be noticed. She wasn't trying to seduce anyone. And yet, Jaemin felt something shift inside him. Something unfamiliar. Something unsettling. "Who is that?" he asked his bodyguard quietly. "That's Laura," the guard replied. "A friend of the lounge manager. First time here." Laura. A name that felt soft, warm, and gentle in his mind. Without thinking, Jaemin walked toward her, his usual swagger quieted into something almost hesitant. She didn't notice him at first. She was too lost in the beauty of the city lights. "Beautiful view," he said softly. She turned. And for the first time in his life, Jaemin felt caught off guard. Her eyes were deep, warm, and curious, not the hungry stare he was accustomed to. She wasn't impressed by his presence. She wasn't flustered. She wasn't intimidated. She simply smiled politely. "It is beautiful. Peaceful too." Peaceful. A word he rarely felt. "I'm Jaemin," he said, waiting for the usual gasp of recognition. But she blinked and asked, "Jaemin? Han?" "Yes." "Oh, the owner?" she said casually. He nodded, surprised at her lack of fear or excitement. "Nice place," Laura said. "Feels like the kind of rooftop where someone can breathe." Her words hit him deeper than they should have. For years he had been suffocating in his own lifestyle: sex, lust, empty nights, and this woman spoke of breathing as if she could feel the heaviness inside him. "Do you come here often?" he asked, needing to keep her talking. "No," she answered honestly. "I'm not really a nightlife person. But tonight I just needed somewhere to think." Her honesty warmed him more than any seductive whisper ever had. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked gently. She glanced at him, curious but calm. "Maybe later," she smiled. "I don't even know you yet." Jaemin chuckled softly, an unforced, genuine laugh he hadn't felt in years. "Then, let's change that." For the rest of the night, he stood beside her, speaking softly, listening deeply, and feeling a strange peace settle into his bones. No lust. No hunger. Just warmth. The kind he never knew he needed. And when she finally left the rooftop, Jaemin realized something terrifyingly beautiful. For the first time in his life, a woman didn't make him feel desire. She made him feel something deeper. Something he didn't know he was capable of. And he wanted more. Much more. Jaemin woke the next morning with a strange lightness in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Normally, he woke up with a woman beside him, lipstick on his neck, and a hollow ache that no pleasure could fill. But today his bed was empty. His mind wasn't. It was filled with Laura. Her voice. Her calm smile. Her softness that wasn't forced or seductive, just natural. He sat at the edge of his bed, running a hand through his hair. "What is this?" he whispered to himself. This wasn't lust. If it was, he would have dragged her into his car the moment he saw her. That was the old him, the man who couldn't sleep unless he had someone under him or beside him. But last night he didn't even think about touching her. He just wanted to stand there and listen. That alone terrified him more than any rival mafia ever could. Later that afternoon he found himself in his private office, staring at paperwork he couldn't focus on. His top lieutenant, Minho, walked in holding a stack of files. The next few days felt slow in a way Jaemin wasn't used to. He was a man who usually lived fast, fast money, fast decisions, fast nights with women whose names he rarely remembered. But now, for the first time in years, he found himself waiting. Waiting to see one woman. Waiting for her smile. Waiting for her voice. It was ridiculous. He was the heir to the most powerful mafia syndicate in Seoul. He didn't wait for anyone. People waited for him. And yet, he couldn't shake the anticipation that touched his chest every time he glanced at his phone or looked out the lounge windows hoping Laura would walk in. Minho noticed the change almost immediately. "Boss," he said during a meeting, "you've signed the same page twice." Jaemin blinked, realizing he had indeed signed the same document 2 times. He cleared his throat and straightened his posture. "Just a minor distraction." Minho's eyebrow rose. "Is this distraction tall, female, and beautifully dressed?" A deadly look shut him up instantly, but the smirk Minho hid behind his file didn't go unnoticed. That evening, Jaemin found himself returning to Han River Lounge again. He tried to tell himself he was only there to check on operations, to oversee business, to make sure his staff were efficient. But even he couldn't lie to himself that well. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes drifted to the corner table from 2 nights ago. Empty. His chest deflated a little. He forced himself to sit anyway, ordering tea instead of alcohol, something Minho would faint over if he saw. Minutes passed. Then half an hour. Then an hour. Still no Laura. He should have left. He had work to do. But he stayed seated, one hand around the warm cup, eyes drifting toward the entrance more times than he wanted to admit. Finally, the door swung open. And there she was. A gentle breeze from outside brushed across her curls as she stepped in. She wore a light lavender blouse tucked into simple jeans, nothing flashy or dramatic, yet she glowed brighter than anyone else in the room. Jaemin stood before realizing he had moved. Laura spotted him, her face lighting up with a natural, unforced smile that weakened his knees more than any seductive glance ever had. "You're here again," she said, amused as she approached. "Maybe I was hoping you'd show up," he said before he could stop himself. She blinked, surprised, then looked away with a soft blush warming her cheeks. "And maybe I was hoping you'd be here too," she murmured. His chest tightened. He hadn't expected that. "Sit with me?" he asked gently. She nodded, and they settled into the corner table that had slowly become their spot. Tonight's conversation flowed even easier than before. They talked about her move to Korea, her love for skincare, her dream to own a small beauty studio one day. "No one has ever asked me about my dreams before," she admitted, playing with her cup. "Then they must have been blind," Jaemin said softly. "Because it's impossible to look at you and not wonder what kind of beautiful life you want." Her breath hitched slightly, just slightly, and he felt something warm settle in his chest. Laura looked down shyly. "You're too sweet." He smiled. "I don't think anyone has ever accused me of that." She laughed, a soft, melodic sound that made his heart ache with tenderness he didn't know he could feel. "Really? You seem sweet to me." Jaemin looked at her, stunned. No one had ever seen that side of him. "Because it didn't exist, I met until her." "I'm not sweet to everyone," he said quietly. "Just you." Her eyes lifted, meeting his with a softness that pulled him closer without even touching him. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, her warm gaze, his intense but gentle one. Then she spoke. "I like being around you, Jaemin. You make me feel calm." Calm. He swallowed hard. No one had ever used that word around him. Not with his reputation. Not with his past. "I feel calm around you too," he admitted, surprising himself with the truth. She smiled again, leaning forward slightly. "Then I guess we should keep seeing each other." His heart thumped slow, deep, and sure. He nodded. "I'd like that more than you know." And in that quiet, intimate moment, something inside him shifted again. Something even deeper, even gentler. He didn't just want her. He didn't just like her presence. He was beginning to need her in a way he never needed anything before. For the first time in years, Jaemin felt alive in a way that had nothing to do with adrenaline, lust, or power. It had everything to do with Laura, her smile, her softness, her sincerity. She was becoming the one calm place in his chaotic world, and he found himself craving that peace more than anything else. Days blended into each other with a new rhythm. A sweeter one. A slower one. One that belonged entirely to her. He started sending her good morning messages, simple things like, "Have a beautiful day. Don't forget breakfast." He never texted women. Women texted him. But Laura didn't expect anything. She didn't demand. She didn't chase. And somehow that made him want to give her everything. One bright afternoon, he found himself standing outside her small apartment building. He had told her he would pick her up, But he didn't expect to feel nervous as he waited beside his luxurious car. What if she decided she didn't want him anymore? What if she realized she deserved someone softer, someone normal, someone without his past? His thoughts were interrupted when the door opened and she stepped out. Laura wore a simple pastel yellow dress with tiny white flowers printed across it. Her curls were pinned half up, half down, swaying gently behind her as she walked. She didn't wear much makeup, just a hint of gloss. Yet she looked more beautiful than any woman he'd ever met. More beautiful than anyone he'd ever chased or allowed to chase him. Her smile deepened when she saw him. "You look nervous," she teased as she climbed down the steps. He cleared his throat. "I'm not." "You're lying," she said with a laugh. "Your shoulders are stiff." He rolled his eyes lightly. "You notice everything. That's because you're easy to read." "No one has ever said that to me," he said truthfully. "Well, then they weren't paying attention." His chest warmed. "Ready?" he asked, opening the car door for her. "Always." They drove into the quieter parts of Seoul, where cafes were tucked between trees and small shops. Laura didn't care for luxury restaurants or glamorous rooftop reservations. She told him that softly one night. "I just like quiet places where people talk and listen," she said. So he brought her exactly that. They settled into a cozy cafe with soft acoustic music and warm lighting. It felt like a world away from everything Jaemin had ever known. When the waitress came, Jaemin let Laura order first. "I'll have the honey lavender latte," she said. He looked at her. "That sounds gentle. You should try it," she smiled. "I will," he said immediately. She giggled. "You don't even know what it tastes like." "It doesn't matter. If you like it, I'll like it." Her cheeks colored with a tenderness he adored. "You're going to make me shy." "I'm just being honest." As they waited for their drinks, Laura leaned her chin on her hand, studying him with soft curiosity. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Why me?" His breath stilled. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she looked nervous for the first time. "You're handsome, rich, important. I'm just me. Why are you choosing me?" He leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Laura, I've spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from me. My money. My name. My body." She swallowed, listening closely. "But you're the first person who made me feel something real. You talk to me like I'm human, not a fantasy. You see me, not the reputation, not the rumors. Just me." Her eyes softened deeply, beautifully. "Jimin." He continued quietly, "And when I'm with you, I don't feel empty anymore." Her hand lifted slightly, hesitating, then she placed it gently on top of his. The warmth of her touch was soft, slow, comforting. It wasn't lust. It wasn't a game. It was real. "I'm glad you found me," she whispered. "Really?" His thumb brushed her palm lightly. "I think I was looking for you long before I knew you existed." She smiled, small, tender, full of emotion. "Jaemin," she whispered, "you're becoming very important to me." His breath trembled just a little. "And you already are to me." They held hands across the table, the world shrinking to the space between their fingers. There were no seductive touches. No hunger. No urge he couldn't control. Just warmth. A gentle love beginning to bloom in its purest form. And for the first time in his life, he didn't want to rush anything. He just wanted to feel every moment with her. Jaemin didn't realize how deeply he was falling until the night he walked into his penthouse and felt something strange. Silence. A deep, echoing silence that once used to comfort him but now felt unbearably empty. He slipped off his jacket, loosened his tie, and looked around the spacious living room filled with expensive art, sleek furniture, perfect lighting, yet lacking the one thing he suddenly wanted most: Laura's warmth. He sat on the edge of his couch and ran a hand through his hair. It was almost frightening how much he missed her. Her voice. Her laugh. Her quiet way of listening. Her soft questions. He had never missed a woman before. He never waited for one. He was never this gentle, this patient, this vulnerable. But with her, everything inside him softened. He finally picked up his phone and texted. "Are you home?" Laura replied a few minutes later. "Yes. Just finished dinner." "Why?" He hesitated. Then typed. "Can I see you? I don't want the night to end without hearing your voice." There was a long pause, not a bad one, just the kind that came from her thinking carefully. Then she replied. "Okay, come." His heart skipped. He grabbed his keys. When he arrived at her apartment, she was waiting by the door, wearing soft gray lounge pants and an oversized white sweater that made her look unbelievably adorable. "You came fast," she said shyly. I don't like waiting when it comes to you, he admitted. She stepped aside to let him in, and he instantly felt the difference between her home and his. Her space was small, cozy, filled with warm light and soft scents. Lavender, vanilla, something comforting that instantly eased his heart. I just made tea, she said. Want some? He nodded. Yes. Whatever you're having. Laura smiled gently and went into the kitchen. He followed. He didn't want distance between them, not even a few steps. She poured tea into 2 mugs and handed him one. Their fingers brushed, and the tiny touch made his breath hitch. You look tired, she said softly, studying him. He shook his head. Not tired. I missed you. Her eyes widened slightly, her cheeks warming. You always say things so honestly, she whispered. I don't see the point in hiding anything from you. She looked at her mug, shy but happy. You make me feel special. You are special. She lifted her gaze slowly. Do you really mean that? He stepped closer. His voice was calm, steady, sincere. Laura, I've had women chase me, cling to me, try to impress me, but no one has ever made me feel what you make me feel just by standing in the same room. Her breath caught. Jamin. He continued, I want to be better because of you. I want to learn gentleness. I want peace. And I feel all of that when I'm with you. Her eyes grew glossy, not sad, just deeply touched. She whispered, You talk like someone who's been lonely for a long time. He exhaled slowly. I have. Without thinking, Laura set her mug down and reached out, gently holding his hand. It was a simple gesture, warm and grounding. Sit with me, she asked. He nodded, letting her lead him to the small couch in the living room. They sat close, not touching, but close enough that their shoulders brushed softly. Laura tucked her legs underneath her and turned slightly toward him. Tell me something real, she said. Something from your heart. He looked at her, really looked at her warmth, her purity, her sincerity. And he said quietly, I'm scared of how much I care about you. Her breath trembled. She reached out slowly and rested her hand on his cheek, her thumb brushing his skin tenderly. You don't have to be scared, she whispered. I care about you too. The weight he'd been carrying inside his chest seemed to melt. No fear. No shame. Just the sweetest relief. He gently took her hand from his cheek and held it in both of his, bringing it to his heart. You're changing me, he whispered. And I like the man I'm becoming with you. Laura leaned closer, her forehead softly brushing his. I like him too. They sat like that, close, quiet, wrapped in the softest intimacy until the world felt small enough to hold in their hands. And for the first time in his life, Jamin wasn't fighting a desire he couldn't control. He was embracing a love he couldn't deny. The following days unfolded in a soft, gentle rhythm, one Jamin never imagined for himself. Gone were the nights of chasing lustful pleasures and the emptiness of fleeting encounters. Now, every morning began with thoughts of Laura, every evening ended with memories of her laughter. She had softened him in ways no one else ever could. That afternoon he found himself at her favorite cafe again, the one tucked away behind cherry blossom trees, where the sunlight fell like a warm blanket across their table. Laura had arrived early, notebook in hand, scribbling down ideas for her dream of opening a small beauty studio someday. Busy as always, Jamin said softly as he slid into the seat across from her. Laura looked up, smiling warmly. I've got to plan if I want to make it real. He reached across the table, lightly brushing his fingers over hers. And I want to be part of that. Every step of it. Her eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and tenderness warming her gaze. Jamin. I mean it, he said firmly. I don't just want to be with you in quiet moments. I want to share your dreams, your fears, your life. She took a deep breath, feeling the sincerity in his words. You really mean that? Every word, he replied. You've made me realize that there's more to life than power, money, or desire. I've never felt this way before, Laura. Not like this. Her cheeks flushed slightly and she looked down shyly. I never expected someone like you to care like that. To actually want to be with me for who I am. Jamin leaned forward, his dark eyes locking with hers. You've changed me. You make me want to be a better man. And I can't imagine my life without you in it. Her heart fluttered. She reached across, lightly touching his cheek. You don't know how much I needed to hear that. For a long moment, they simply sat there, fingers intertwined across the table, eyes searching one another for truth, honesty, and reassurance. Finally, Jamin spoke, his voice soft but confident. Laura, I want to tell you something I've never told anyone. Not my family. Not my closest friends. Not even the women I used to be with. She leaned closer, curiosity and affection dancing in her eyes. What is it? He swallowed, feeling his chest tighten. I used to be a man who could never be satisfied. I chased lust and pleasure because I thought it would fill the emptiness inside me. But it never did. Not once. And then I met you, and suddenly everything changed. You've become the part of my life I didn't even know I was missing. You've softened me in ways I didn't believe were possible. Laura's eyes glistened, a soft smile touching her lips. Jay, that's beautiful. I mean it, he said, brushing a loose curl behind her ear. You're the only one who's ever made me feel alive in a way that doesn't hurt. Alive in a way that's warm, gentle, and real. She reached up and placed her hand over his heart, feeling the steady beat beneath her palm. I feel it too, she whispered. You make me feel safe. Like I matter completely. I've never felt that before either. Jamin's lips curved into a gentle, heartfelt smile. Then we've both found something rare, haven't we? Yes, she agreed softly, her fingers still resting on his chest. Something real. He leaned closer slowly, their foreheads touching, breathing in the soft scent of her hair. I want to keep us, forever. No games. No pretenses. Just you and me. Her heart swelled, a warmth spreading through her chest. I want that too, she whispered. They sat like that for a long while, simply holding each other's hands, letting the world fade around them. There were no distractions, no expectations, no lust. Only the sweet, tender love that had blossomed between them. Jamin felt his chest relax in a way it hadn't in years. His heart, once hardened by lust and power, had finally found the softest part of him, Laura. And he vowed silently that he would never let it go. For the first time in his life he wasn't just alive, he was whole. The days grew warmer as autumn painted Seoul in golden hues, and with every passing moment Jamin and Laura's bond deepened. Their love had evolved into something rare, something unshakable and tender. No longer just fleeting excitement or stolen glances, it was in every shared smile, every soft word, every brush of hands, every quiet moment together. One evening Jamin invited Laura to his penthouse. Not for business. Not for show. But simply because he wanted to share his world with her, every corner of it, without pretense. When she arrived, she was surprised at how warmly she was greeted. His penthouse, though luxurious and impressive, had changed since she entered his life. It was softer, brighter, filled with subtle touches that reflected him, not just the mafia boss the world feared, but the man she had gently awakened. You've made this place feel alive, she said softly, looking around. He smiled, reaching for her hand. It's alive now because you're here. The morning sunlight spilled gently across Seoul, warming Jamin's penthouse with soft golden light. For the first time in his life, he woke up not to emptiness or restlessness, but to a feeling of quiet contentment. Laura was curled up beside him, her curls spilling over the pillow, and the steady rhythm of her breathing filled the space around him with a comforting, familiar warmth. He reached over, brushing a soft curl from her face. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing the same gentle warmth that had captured his heart from the very first night he saw her. Good morning, she whispered, her voice soft but full of affection. Good morning, he replied, a smile tugging at his lips. Did you sleep well? Better than I have in a long time, she said, stretching lazily. Being here with you, it feels like home. Jamin's chest tightened with happiness. You are my home, he murmured. Laura's smile widened and she reached for his hand. And you're mine. It had been months since their lives first intertwined, months of soft laughter, quiet walks, stolen kisses and tender confessions. Jamin had changed in ways he never thought possible. The man who once chased desire without thought now found his heart fully tethered to one person, the one who had softened him, taught him patience, and shown him the gentle power of love. They spent the morning sipping tea and watching the city wake beneath them. The world outside moved fast, but inside the walls of his penthouse, time seemed to slow for just the two of them. Later that day, Jamin surprised Laura with a quiet outing to Honggang Park, their favorite place to walk. The autumn leaves crunched beneath their feet, painting the paths in shades of gold and amber. Laura held his hand, her small fingers entwined with his large ones, a perfect fit. You always make everything so special, she said softly, glancing up at him with a smile. I only do it because you deserve it, he replied. Because you've made me realize that love isn't about grand gestures or fleeting pleasures. It's about presence, care, and being there for each other every single day. Her heart swelled and she leaned into him as they walked. I never thought someone like you could truly love like this. Genuinely, completely. He smiled gently. I never thought I could either until I met you. The sun began to dip low, casting long, soft shadows across the park. Jaemin stopped walking, turning to face her fully. He cupped her face in his hands, gazing deeply into her eyes. Laura, he began, his voice low and steady, you've given me more than I ever imagined possible. You've given me love, peace, and a life I never thought I deserved. I don't want to imagine a day without you. I don't want to ever let you go. Tears glimmered in her eyes, her lips trembling slightly as she whispered, Jimin? He bent slightly, his forehead resting against hers. I promise to love you, cherish you, and be yours completely for the rest of my life. Will you be mine forever? A smile broke across her face, tears spilling freely now, and she nodded. Yes, forever. They embraced, holding each other tightly as the golden sunlight bathed them in warmth. There was no rush, no need for words beyond that simple promise. Just two hearts beating in unison, two souls bound by a love that had grown from gentle beginnings into something enduring and profound. As evening fell, they walked hand in hand along the river, the city lights reflecting on the water like scattered jewels. Every glance, every brush of fingers, every quiet laugh was a reminder that their hearts had found a home in each other. For Jaemin, the man who once chased desire without restraint, life had transformed into something far richer and deeper. His heart, once driven by lust and emptiness, now beat with love so tender it could not be broken. And as they paused on the bridge, gazing out at the shimmering city, he whispered softly, With you, I am complete. Laura leaned against him, resting her head on his shoulder. And I with you, she replied, her voice steady and full of emotion. In that moment nothing else mattered. No power, no wealth, no past mistakes. There was only them, only their love, and the promise of a lifetime together. And for the first time in his life, Jaemin Han knew true happiness, soft, tender, and everlasting love.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to leave us a comment. Also share and subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell to get notified when a new story comes up. Don't forget to tell us where you are watching from.